Leader of the Opposition.
En libérant les criminels.
The Liberals are setting criminals free. They're wasting money. They are targeting sports shooters and recreational shooters who abide by the law. The Liberals have increased firearm-related crime by 30%. That we already knew. Yet the Minister of Public Safety accidentally revealed the truth and was recorded doing so. He said that confiscating the firearms of law-abiding firearm owners was a waste of money. Does the Prime Minister agree with his minister?
Merci pour la question.
Thank you for the question.
Mr. Speaker, on Sunday I had a conversation with an individual that I've known for many years who recorded it without my knowledge and had it leaked to a gun lobbyist. In that conversation, Mr. Speaker, the subject of the assault-style firearms buyback compensation program was discussed. In trying to address this issue, Mr. Speaker, the individual's frustration, my comments were misguided. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, it's important to have the program in place. This is what Canadians are looking for. And I do want to note that the Leader of the Opposition has voted against every single gun measure.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
By freeing rampant gun criminals and wasting billions of dollars of police and border resources targeting law-abiding, licensed, trained and tested firearms owners, this government has overseen a 130% increase in violent gun crime. But over the weekend, the Minister of Public Safety accidentally told the truth, and he was recorded doing it. He said that the gun grab is not worth the money, that it will go over budget, and it would be better just to lock up the criminals, but that they're going ahead with the bad policy because it's good politics. Does the Prime Minister agree?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, it's a good thing there's a recording of it so that Canadians can have a look for themselves. Let me be very clear, Mr. Speaker. Canadians want responsible gun control. They wanted it in 1989 after a man killed 14 women at École Polytechnique. They wanted it after 6 people were murdered at the Quebec City mosque shooting. And they wanted it after the biggest mass shooting in our history, where a man opened fire and killed 22 people in Nova Scotia. Mr. Speaker, why are the Conservatives against keeping guns off our streets?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the minister said that his gun grab won't work, that it will go over budget, and that it would be better to lock up criminals, as Conservatives have been suggesting, but that they're going ahead with the gun grab anyway because the Prime Minister wants to pursue electoral politics. Electoral politics, Mr. Speaker. When a mother is hit with a stray bullet, or a police officer is murdered by a firearm, or a bullet flies into a child's bedroom as part of an extortion case, we don't have time for politics. So why is this minister caught on tape playing politics with guns?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, in order to have a real conversation about crime, we need to have a real conversation about guns. Canadians want responsible gun control, Mr. Speaker. They wanted it in 1989 after a man killed 14 women at École Polytechnique. They wanted it after 6 people were murdered at the Quebec City mosque shooting, and they wanted it after the biggest mass shooting in our history, where a man opened fire and killed 22 people in Nova Scotia. Mr. Speaker, why are the Conservatives against keeping guns off our streets, and why has this Leader of the Opposition voted against every single gun control measure that he has been in Parliament for?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
That minister did have a real conversation about guns. Unfortunately for him, he was caught on tape. Caught on tape, admitting that the gun grab is a waste of money. Caught on tape, admitting it would go over budget. Caught on tape, admitting it would be better just to lock up the gun criminals who are actually doing the crime. Why is it that Liberals only tell the truth when they don't think anyone is listening?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, let me reiterate, it's actually a good thing that this conversation was caught on tape. And in fact, it will counter every single claim that this leader of the opposition is making. Let me be very clear, Mr. Speaker. Canadians want responsible gun control. We are in a position as a government, we committed to it during the last campaign, Mr. Speaker. Canadians gave us a mandate on April the 28th to ensure that we move forward on this program, and we look forward to its implementation.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, while this government blocks criminal justice reforms that would lock up gun criminals, they want to go ahead and take nearly $1 billion away from border security and police officers to go after licensed, law-abiding, trained and tested hunters and sport shooters, a project that the OPP refuses to enforce. Numerous provincial governments have said they will not go ahead with. They've even had to ask Canada Post to go and collect these firearms. The minister himself has now admitted that it won't work. Why won't they drop the politics and save lives?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, if the member is concerned about advancing legislation that's actually going to keep Canadians safe, he would work across the aisle with us as we seek to table legislation during this legislative sitting to ensure that violent repeat offenders are kept behind bars, to make sure the most serious offenders are actually facing stiffer penalties. But, Mr. Speaker, it is hard to accept criticism when it comes to keeping our community safe from gun violence from a member who, for more than 2 decades, has voted against the very specific measures that are designed to take guns off our streets, and he has voted repeatedly on the measures that will weaken our border to prevent the inflow of guns in the first place.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
I and we have voted against policies that have given Canada a 130% increase in gun violence. And speaking of getting things through Parliament, he says seek to introduce. This government has been in place for 10 years. They have softened penalties for repeat offenders. That minister took the summer off and still has not introduced any criminal justice reforms to stop guns. We put forward a 3 strikes you're out law that would lock up the repeat violent offenders. Instead, they're spending $700 million of police resources going after licensed law-abiding people. Why?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, I have news for my friend on the other side of the House of Commons. If he believes that I haven't moved forward with legislative efforts this sitting when it comes to criminal justice reform, I would have invited him to have shown up for work on Friday last week where we did that very thing. Mr. Speaker, he should look forward this fall sitting to seeing 2 additional pieces of criminal legislative reform. One on bail and sentencing that will make sure violent repeat offenders are not walking amongst our streets, and a second that will protect those who are at risk of intimate partner violence or at risk of being victimized by sexual offenses. And when it comes to the summer, I was meeting with law enforcement and provincial counterparts. He was fighting for his job.
As the member knows, we cannot suggest that somebody was present or not in the House. I'm assuming he meant it in a very vague way, that it had something to do with, I don't know, something else. But I'll just give that warning to the member. L'honorable député de Saint-Jean.
The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, with its factum to the Supreme Court against Bill 21, Ottawa is basically bordering on conspiracy theory. By challenging state secularism, the Liberals are creating a slippery slope towards disaster scenarios such as banning places of worship. The Liberals even suggest that Quebec might reinstate slavery or executions. This speaks volumes about how Canadians view Quebec, Mr. Speaker. They say, don't give them too much parliamentary sovereignty. They're crazy enough to reestablish slavery. If the government wanted to tarnish Quebecers' reputation, it couldn't have done so better than through this factum. Will the government withdraw it? The Honourable Minister of Justice. Mr. Speaker, we are working towards the national interest. This matter is in the national interest, so the federal government must protect the Constitution. As the member knows full well, the Supreme Court of Canada is absolutely the right forum for this type of debate. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the federal government is attacking much more than secularism at the Supreme Court. They are also attacking Quebec's parliamentary sovereignty by amending the Constitution through the courts without debate. This is a power grab which goes against the purpose purpose itself of the notwithstanding clause, which is to protect democracy from judiciary governance. If the federal government wants to amend the Constitution, that should be debated in our parliaments and in the public space, not in court. Will the government withdraw its brief and stop using judges to undermine Quebec's parliamentary sovereignty?
L'honorable ministre de l'Identité.
The Honourable Minister of Identity and Canadian Culture. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With all due respect to my colleague, what she's saying is misinformed. The federal government's representations to the Supreme Court will not prevent provinces and territories from continuing to be able to use Section 33 of the Charter and using the notwithstanding clause. The Minister of Justice is sitting right next to me and would be happy to explain to her what we are suggesting as a process. We will always defend the rights and freedoms of Canadians. We are a charter supporting party, always have been, always will be. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Rivière-du-Nord. Mr. Speaker, when the Liberals say that they're not attacking secularism before the Supreme Court, it's false. What they should be saying is that they're not only attacking secularism. By attacking the notwithstanding clause, they are also attacking the protection of the French language and signage in French. They're even attacking consensual matters such as protecting children's identities in otherwise public trials, or also attacking the absence of lawyers in small claims courts. They're attacking democracy. They're even attacking Quebec's model. Will they finally withdraw the challenge, Mr. Speaker? The Honourable Minister for Identity and Canadian Culture. Mr. Speaker, I'm a very proud Quebecer. There are many very proud Quebecers on this side of the House. We have been supporting Quebec for years, for decades, Mr. Speaker. What the member across the way is claiming is untrue. We are the first federal government to officially acknowledge the decline of the French language. We invested heavily to protect French. We're the first in history to invest in out-of-Quebec immigration targets for Francophone immigration. We increased the percentage. We are supporting and defending the French language. That's what we're doing on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker.
November for Calgary East.
After 10 years of Liberals, food prices have skyrocketed 40%. This Prime Minister said he'd be different, and he's right. He's even more expensive than Justin Trudeau was. He's doubling the deficit, racking up the federal debt, and blocking anything that would help bring food prices to come down. Liberal inflation is making food prices 75% over the bank's target. Why doesn't this Prime Minister just get out of the way so Conservatives can pass common sense legislation like the Canada Sovereignty Act and actually bring down the cost of groceries?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, in the last election, Canadians had a clear choice between a leader that has economic and business experience versus a leader that has none. We are focused on affordability for Canadians, cutting taxes for 22 million Canadians. We are cutting the consumer carbon tax. We are cutting the GST for first-time homebuyers. And we are going to build homes at a scale not seen since the Second World War. I ask the Conservatives to cut the rhetoric and get on board. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary East.
In the last election, Canadians were duped by a guy that's committing economic vandalism. This finance minister said he would bring down the cost of groceries Thanksgiving 2023. It's almost Thanksgiving 2025, and the cost of groceries has skyrocketed. It's like the cost of living crisis that they created, their solution to that is to spend even more than Trudeau did. Why doesn't this Prime Minister stop competing with Justin Trudeau for the most expensive Prime Minister in Canadian history and get out of the way so Conservatives can fix everything these guys broke?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, this last summer we crossed the country, went from coast to coast to coast, and the message from Canadians was resoundingly clear. They want us to spend less and invest more in national projects, invest more in building our country, bringing down interprovincial trade barriers, working together, Mr. Speaker. We have a plan to build the strongest economy in the G7. That is exactly what we're going to do. I ask the Conservatives to stop the rhetoric and get on board.
The Honourable Member for Haldimand Norfolk.
10 years of Liberal rule, and what do Canadians have to show for it? Soaring food prices, food insecurity, 4 million visits to food banks in Toronto alone last year. A quarter of Canadian households cannot afford to put food on the table. That is 40% higher than the year before. So, when will this Prime Minister stop obstructing Parliament and introduce a budget that lowers food prices.
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
You know, Mr. Speaker, when Canadians are facing a hard time, they want a government that will invest in them. And today, as the Canadian Building Trades Unions visit us in Ottawa, celebrating the investments in major projects that are going to create great paying jobs for tradespeople all across this country, with a government that's focused on making sure that we cut taxes for individuals, 22 million Canadians, when making sure that Canadians have what they need. Canadians chose well, and they chose this government, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Haldimand Norfolk.
Canadians want a government that will deal with this affordability crisis. This crisis happened on their watch. This Prime Minister promised Canadians that they could judge him by the price of groceries. Well, the numbers are in. Apples are up 14%. Potatoes are up 16%. Canned food is up 26%. When will this Prime Minister stop obstructing Parliament and introduce a budget that will bring back food affordability to Canada?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Well, Mr. Speaker, Canadians are intelligent, and they knew better than to place their vote with the opposition, with Conservatives that were threatening, indeed voting against everything that was making their lives more affordable, whether it was a school food nutrition program, whether it was the Canada Dental Care Plan, whether it was investment in seniors, increasing supports for seniors, whether it was investments in infrastructure, Mr. Speaker. Time and time again, Conservatives voted against these measures. Canadians saw with their eyes they could not count on Conservatives to protect them.
The Honourable Member for Parry Sound Muskoka.
After 10 years of Liberals, experts are now warning of up to 100,000 job losses in the housing sector by 2027. Builders are laying off their trained staff, even though the Prime Minister promised to double housing construction. Housing starts have stalled completely in the GTA and the Lower Mainland, where the housing crisis is the worst. In Ajax, housing starts are down 100%. Builders are praising our common sense plan to remove the GST on all homes under $1.3 million, saying it will restart home building. So why doesn't the Prime Minister want home builders building homes?
Good question.
The Honourable Minister for Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, to the member opposite, that's exactly why this government is committed to the most aggressive affordable housing program in our history. That's excellent. We need to focus on affordability. Canadians have spoken. Canadians have elected this government to deliver on affordability. With a tax cut, with a focus on affordable housing, we're seeing right out of the gate, Build Canada Homes focused on 4,000 homes in 6 cities across Canada, $1 billion into supportive housing, and 700 units of housing in Nunavut. We need to scale up. We expect their support.
Honourable député de Montmorency.
The Honourable Member for Montmorency, Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, after 10 years of this Liberal government, inflation is increasing. In fact, according to a Food Banks Canada report, 25.5% of households are struggling to put food on the table. We found out about a senior who has been working hard his whole life and can't even feed himself. I traveled through my riding this summer. I met hundreds of people, good people who work hard every day to put food on the table. Mr. Speaker, when will the Prime Minister stop obstructing Parliament and table a budget that will bring down food prices? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, the member across the way knows full well that the budget will be tabled soon. We will be calling on his support for the budget. We have a plan to build Canada up, to create more job opportunities. We want to use our young people to succeed. We want to take advantage of Canada's expertise in aluminum and other sectors. And we will want his support. The Honourable Member for Montmorency, Charlevoix. After 10 years of these same old Liberals, requests for food aid are skyrocketing. In Montmorency, Charlevoix, my riding, like elsewhere in the country, food banks are facing an unprecedented increase in demand. There's been a 30% increase in food prices in just a year. Food Banks Canada has given Canada a mark of D for food insecurity. The Prime Minister said we could judge him based on grocery prices. Well, what's his grade? G for groceries or F for failure? The Honourable Government House Leader. The member across the way is new here. he likely hasn't had the opportunity to meet with his party's whip. His party's whip will tell him to vote against all supports for Canadians, to vote against food aid, food programs in schools, to vote against daycare, to vote against support for seniors, to vote against legislation to protect workers in Canada. The whip will tell him to vote against all of that. And the member across the way is going to learn that the hard way, Mr. Speaker. The honourable member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, there's been a shocking revelation from Radio-Canada. Members of organized crime groups are entering Canada on student permits in order to get rich through fraud, car theft, identity theft, and more. Once again, instead of taking responsibility, the Department of Immigration is burying its head in the sand. In the department's response to the news story, IRCC blamed universities, even though this is exclusively a federal government responsibility to screen people entering Canada, including screening international students. The Department of Immigration is responsible for this. When will it get to work and fight organized crime instead of blaming universities, Mr. Speaker? The Honourable Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Canadians gave us the mandate to restore the international student program and to bring our levels back to reasonable levels, and that's what we are doing. According to the latest numbers, there's been a decrease of 144,000 study permits granted. We want to protect foreign students and protect Canada as well. Thank you. The honourable member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Well, apparently, the minister hasn't heard the Radio-Canada report. It's a matter of international crime. There are bandits profiting and exploiting Canada's laxity to make hundreds of millions of dollars. There are border services. Our border services, they know that the money is being used to strengthen criminal organizations in Côte d'Ivoire and even being used to finance terrorist activities. While Europe cracks down on the network it calls the African Mafia, Ottawa is treating this like a slight problem. It's quite obvious why Canada is a prime target. Will Ottawa finally take some responsibility? The Honourable Minister of Immigration. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We are working to strengthen and reinforce our borders. With more sophisticated fraud going on, we need more sophisticated tools to safely handle immigration. Our bill, C2, is before Parliament, and it will guarantee fairness in our immigration system. It will also improve treatment of asylum claims and immigration claims. We must protect the integrity of our system. And I urge all parliamentarians here to support us. Thank you.
Since the minister was appointed, many more people have been abused and defrauded by Canadian immigration consultants who contribute to the chaos in Canada's immigration system while the minister just lets them. Instead of taking advice experts have been giving for years, which is to make immigration consultants report to lawyers, the minister said, "This is fine," this summer, and doubled down on a system that is clearly not working. The Prime Minister chose an incompetent minister to sit in one of the most important files in government. Why?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the Prime Minister for choosing me to be the Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. Very proud of my record when I served as Nova Scotia's Minister of Immigration. Protecting prospective newcomers from those who try to take advantage of them is critically important, and that is why we've established the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants to regulate consultants and protect the public, and this is something that we are very serious about, and we will ensure that it gets done.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
The minister mentioned her record as immigration minister in a provincial government. During that time, a Nova Scotia auditor found that there were the following issues: no process to determine provincial labour market needs and assess whether those were being addressed by Nova Scotia's provincial nominee program, and none of the 8 recommendations from a 2020 fraud risk assessment had been implemented. So I'll ask the same question. Why did the Prime Minister put an incompetent minister into this position?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Again, I want to thank the Prime Minister. In fact, I want to thank the people in Halifax West for electing me to this Parliament. I am here to do the best job I possibly can do with my experience, with my expertise, and with my love for Canada and love for Canadians. And we will continue to do that. As for my record as Minister of Immigration from 2013 to 2021, provincially, the record is clear. I would invite parliamentarians to go look at it. Thank you very much.
The honourable member for Richmond Hill South.
After 10 years of this Liberal government, our immigration system is in chaos. This summer, illegal border crossers claiming asylum surged by a staggering 277%. Most of them will be bogus. This has put massive pressure on housing, healthcare, and benefits across Canada, especially in Quebec. And what did the immigration minister do? Absolutely nothing. She enjoyed her summer vacation while our borders were left wide open. The Prime Minister promised to be different, but instead of fixing it, he let the situation spiral out of control while Canadians paid the price. Why did the Prime Minister appoint such an incompetent minister to one of the most important jobs who is making the crisis worse every single day?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm not going to thank for that question, but I will answer that question. I've spent my summer, a whole 10, 11 weeks, working 7 days a week without taking 1 day for vacation. Having said that, this government is intent on ensuring that our immigration system becomes sustainable as well as protecting our borders. That is why we have Bill C-2 in front of us in Parliament, which will be an aid for us here, and I urge all parliamentarians to get on board and support it.
The honourable member for Newmarket Aurora.
After 10 years of this Liberal government, Canada's immigration system is broken. The Prime Minister promised he'd be different, but nothing has changed. The only way to stop illegal border crossers from abusing our asylum system is to end the incentives that turn it into a backdoor for economic migration. Yet the immigration minister has done nothing, literally nothing all summer. So I ask again, why has the Prime Minister put a minister who is totally out of her depth and making things worse on one of the most important files in Cabinet?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I am a little puzzled and a little concerned about the tone coming from the opposition. We do not treat MPs and ministers in this House in this way. That minister is doing a fantastic job and has presented legislation before this Parliament that party needs to respond to, that will clean up our immigration system. And while they're at it, they can perhaps answer for why in Cloverdale, Langley City, they are forcing temporary students to come campaign for them in by-election campaigns. Those are the questions the incompetent leader of the opposition and his party need to answer.
The honourable member for Abbotsford South Langley.
Mr. Speaker, the minister said she worked all summer, and the system is worse.
Whoa.
The Prime Minister promised that he'd be different, but illegal border crossers have been surging into Canada to abuse the asylum system all work, and the minister has done nothing to stop it. She hasn't strengthened the Safe Third Country Agreement. She hasn't reviewed the benefits they receive to put a stop to the ones they come into our country. She's let the asylum seekers become even worse, and the predecessor that she followed. The Prime Minister chose to be incompetent and chose an incompetent minister for the Cabinet. Why?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, our government is working hard to secure our borders. This morning I had the chance to meet with the president of the CBSA, who advised that border crossings are down 60%, Mr. Speaker. We will strengthen our borders and even make investing more resources through security screenings, as well as quickly identifying and removing those who are inadmissible. We will hire 1,000 more RCMP and CBSA officers, Mr. Speaker. We have Bill C-2 in the House right now, Mr. Speaker. If this party opposite is serious about border crossings and immigration, then they should pass it swiftly, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Hamilton West, Ancaster Dundas.
Mr. Speaker, Hamilton is proud to be Canada's Steel City, with a long history of organized labor and skilled trades. Our country's industry, housing, and infrastructure, the foundations of our economy, have always been built by workers in the building trades. Could the Secretary of State for Labor update this House on how our government is supporting apprentices and helping workers get the training they need to literally build Canada's future?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
Finally, a good question, Mr. Speaker. I've been meeting with workers from Surrey to St. John's, including Canada's building trades unions, who are in town this week, and they all say the same thing. It's time to build. That's exactly what we're doing, Mr. Speaker. From major nation-building projects to building Canadian homes, Mr. Speaker, we're building big with Canadian steel, Canadian lumber, Canadian unionized workers. We're creating thousands of jobs and apprenticeship opportunities through the Union Training Innovation Program. Mr. Speaker, we're investing in training the next generation. Mr. Speaker, while the Conservatives talk down Canada, we're building Canada up with Canadian workers.
The Honourable Member for Kamloops, Thompson-Nicola.
The Public Safety Minister told the truth. It's true. He spoke about how this confiscation buyback is an incredible boondoggle. Now let's actually hear what he had to say. This is the mandate I was given by the Prime Minister to complete this and not revisit this. Sounds like he doesn't even believe in this. So if the Public Safety Minister doesn't believe in this program, why are we spending $742 million taxpayer dollars to keep it going?
Here, here. Great.
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I've addressed this issue a number of times, but let me just make it very personal, Mr. Speaker. The last 4 months in this role as Minister of Public Safety, I've received a great deal of vitriol from the gun lobby, Mr. Speaker. If you go into my social media accounts, you will see hundreds, if not thousands, of comments of hatred that's coming through the gun lobby, Mr. Speaker. What the party opposite is doing is reinforcing that. We have a serious plan to ensure that guns are off our streets. That's why we will be going forward and implementing this program, Mr. Speaker. I invite the party opposite to come on board and ensure that our streets are safe.
Honourable Member for Kamloops, Thompson-Nicola.
It's always somebody else's fault, Mr. Speaker. What this minister fails to mention is that in Bill C-5, he voted so that people who do drive-by shootings can serve their sentence on house arrest.
Shame.
People who do robberies with guns, house arrest, Mr. Speaker. Nobody wants a part of this program. Canada Post doesn't want a part of it. Local law enforcement doesn't want a part of it. OPP doesn't want a part of this $742 million boondoggle. The minister told us that he just has to put it to an end. So why are they still intent on having this program go forward when all he wants to do is end it?
Here, here.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives constantly want U.S.-style politics here, whether it's the 3 strikes or you're out rule or assault rifles on our streets, which the Conservatives would make legal again.
That's right.
Mr. Speaker, we've seen these policies fail in the U.S. and they won't work here either. Come up with some comprehensive, meaningful change, like the change that we're going to bring with bail reform and sentencing reform, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Oxford.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberal gun grab scam unfairly targets law-abiding Canadians while giving criminals a free pass. This failed scam has been rejected by the police, the provinces, Canada Post, and now even their own public safety minister. In a leaked audio, he says that the Prime Minister pressured him. He admits that this plan won't work, and he even promised to pay his tenant's bail if he's arrested. You can't make this up, Mr. Speaker. What they say in public versus what they say behind closed doors is totally the opposite. So if the minister won't stand behind his own plan, why should Canadians foot the $700 million bill for their scam?
Yeah. The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, we're moving forward in a responsible way to make sure that gun ownership in Canada is safe. There is no reason to have assault-style firearms on our streets or in our homes. Mr. Speaker, we're going to be responsible. We're going to make sure that we don't have the gun crisis that we see in the United States just south of us. If Conservatives have their way, they'd make guns free and legal for everyone.
The Honourable Member for York Centre.
Conservatives have been saying from day one that the gun buyback program is an awful idea. Law-abiding gun owners don't commit gun crime with lawfully purchased guns. Criminals commit gun crime. Gun criminals who terrorize our streets because of the Liberals' failure on law and order. We know that the OPP won't participate in the program. Canada Post won't participate in the program. Local police won't participate in the program. Now we learn that the Minister of Public Safety doesn't want to participate in it either. Why is this minister going ahead with a program that he doesn't want to participate in?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives need to get serious about resolving and coming up with solutions when it comes to crime, when it comes to firearms in our country. When they were in government, Mr. Speaker, they cut funding to the RCMP, to our borders, and they would go back and make assault-style firearms legal in our country. If they cared so much about the safety of our nation, maybe their leaders should get a security clearance.
The Honourable Member for Vaughan Woodbridge.
Leaked audio from the Public Safety Minister revealed the truth. Not even he believes the Liberal gun confiscation program will work. He begged a law-abiding citizen, and I quote, "Don't ask me to explain the logic to you. He knows it's wrong." And he admits the Prime Minister is forcing him to ram this failed policy through, even though he knows it won't fix their soft-on-crime record. So, why is the minister still proceeding with this $742 million boondoggle when even he admits it's a failure?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 35 years ago, I was shot by a legal gun-abiding order, and since then, what Canadians want is assault-style firearms to get off our streets, and this is going to happen this year. The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, Liberal policies for student visas are chaotic in Canada and particularly in Quebec. They allow mafioso-type African criminals to get in, and there are people from Ivory Coast who have scammed Canadians out of money who are allowed to come to this country. What is the Prime Minister doing to fight this scourge of fake students who are criminals? The Honourable Minister. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Canadians have given us the mandate to reestablish the international student program at viable levels, and we're doing this. We also have Bill C2 before us in the Parliament, and to get the figures down and avoid spikes in demand, we are trying to strengthen our borders and make them more resilient. So I'd ask all parliamentarians to support this legislation. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, I think that the minister did not understand the issue. These were visas given to students, and 200 of them are Africans who are part of the mafia there. They're in Quebec. They are committing crimes, scams, car thefts, etc. This is an international ring that is now in Canada because of laxist Liberal policies on immigration. Can the minister confirm that they will solve this problem of false student visas? The Honourable Minister of Immigration. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
It's a crime in Canada, regardless of what status they're on, will face consequences.
The IRCC is working with CBSA and all of our partners here to ensure.
Deport somebody, we will. That's CBSA's job. But again, we work with other government departments to ensure that Canadians are protected and that fraud is limited. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Heritage.
Mr. Speaker, an administrative question for the Prime Minister. I went to check the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website to see what this new state he has announced might look like. There is no map. Can we expect the Prime Minister and the Minister of Foreign Affairs to upload a map of the borders of this so-called state? Could they identify its capital?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, and I respect the question. However, at this point, what I want to simply say is that there is no military solution to the conflict at hand. There's only a political solution. And in the vein of Lester Pearson, this side of the party will continue to work for peaceful solutions to ensure that Israel and Palestinians have safe and secure borders for each of them, so they will live in peace together. That is what this side of the House will work on. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Heritage.
The Palestinian Authority runs a program perpetuating generational genocidal hate with pensions for terrorists who murder Jews. The PA, the PLO, and Fatah all embed terrorism into their institutions. The PLO founded the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade, a listed terrorist entity responsible for the attacks on October 7th. If recognition of statehood is to have any real meaning, will the Prime Minister designate this as a state sponsor of terrorism?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me also state that Canada supports Israel and its right to defend its people every day. Let me also be clear, Hamas is a terrorist group. It must release hostages immediately that have been held cruelly for 2 years. It must disarm, and it will play no role in the future governance of a Palestinian state. We will continue to defend the state of Israel, and we will continue to defend the people of Palestine to ensure we have two states with equal justice and equal rights to prosperity.
The Honourable Member for Terrebonne. Mr. Speaker, today is the beginning of Gender Equality Week. There has been progress made, and we need to remain firm in our commitment to strengthen gender equality for all Canadians. We want to build the strongest economy in the G7, and we need the total participation and active participation of women. Can the minister inform us about measures taken by this government to advance gender equality?
The Honourable Minister of Gender Equality.
Thank you very much for this question. We cannot build the strongest economy in the G7 without the participation of women fully. Thanks to our strategy for entrepreneurial women, we've been able to help more than 400,000 women across the country. And with our National Action Plan, we're taking action to fight feminicide. This week, we recognize the progress accomplished and our commitment to gender equality. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Parkland.
Mr. Speaker, in the last 4 months, $54 billion in investment has fled Canada, and that's in addition to nearly $500 billion lost in 10 years under this Liberal government. Now, the Prime Minister promised strength, but all that he's delivered is weakness. His oil and gas production cap is killing Canadian prosperity. Now, Conservatives today are calling for the end of this production cap. Will the Liberals keep their boot on the neck of our energy sector, or will they vote with Conservatives to axe the cap?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians voted to strengthen our economy by growing our energy and natural resources industries while combating climate change. We will support innovation, increase our competitiveness, and attract billions of dollars of investment to get to net zero. Let me share something that the Premier of Alberta said just this weekend. I am more optimistic than ever that the concerns of Albertans are being heard. Perhaps the honourable member on the other side could give up his division and work with us to build Canada strong.
The Honourable Member for Red Deer.
Mr. Speaker, 10 years of Liberal policies aimed at killing our energy industry have shrunk our economy and driven up unemployment. This Prime Minister promised he'd be different, but instead, it's more of the same. Alberta's energy industry has powered and enriched this nation for decades. But if the production cap stays, there will be no pipelines, and Canada will remain at the mercy of U.S. and other foreign interests. Will the Liberals vote for our Conservative motion to eliminate the Liberal job-killing energy cap, or will they continue obstructing getting Canada built?
The Honourable Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, we're focused on results that enhance our climate competitiveness. Our government, Alberta, and industry agree. Building a responsible, competitive oil and gas industry is part of the grand bargain. As someone who spent my career making deals, I know you don't get things done by speaking in public. But let me share something with the honourable member. His premier said this weekend, "I'm more optimistic than ever that the concerns of Albertans are being heard." We'd appreciate you getting on board, end the division, get the unity together, and build Canada strong.
The honourable member for Medicine Hat, Cardston Warner.
Canada's oil and gas emissions cap will continue to devastate jobs in the energy sector and make life more expensive for Canadians. The Parliamentary Budget Officer estimates that the emissions cap will cut our GDP by about $20.5 billion annually and eliminate 54,000 more jobs by 2032. This Prime Minister promised he would be different, but those promises have been broken, Mr. Speaker. Will the Prime Minister support the Conservative motion to repeal the gas and oil emissions cap, or will he and the Liberals continue to be obstructive?
Great question.
The Honourable Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, the grand bargain is about taking transformative steps to dramatically reduce our emissions and put new cards in Canada's hand that increase our competitiveness. That has the potential to create thousands of good-paying jobs and careers and create a world-leading clean tech ecosystem that exports our innovation around the world. As I said, the Premier of Alberta said this weekend, "I'm more optimistic than ever that the concerns of Albertans are being heard." I would invite the honourable member across the aisle to get with us and build Canada strong.
The honourable member for Labrador.
Mr. Speaker, for too long, northern communities like those in my own riding of Labrador have had to rely on diesel-generated electricity to keep the lights on at costs that are too high. Can the minister share with this House how our new government is replacing diesel with dependable, clean power in the north while helping communities build the sustainable future they deserve?
Good question.
The Honourable Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member Labrador for this question. Mr. Speaker, our new government is supporting Indigenous-led transitions from diesel to dependable clean power. In Yukon, Kluane First Nation wind and battery project provides about half the community's power and saves over 300,000 liters of diesel a year. In Nunavut, the Inuit-led Sanikuluak wind project will replace up to 70% of local diesel use. Project by project, we are delivering cleaner, more affordable power across the north.
The honourable member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to go back to last Friday's question. The Liberal government announced it's building 4,000 new homes at the cost of $13 billion. That's $3.2 million per door. With $3.2 million in Beauce, we could build 15 homes, not one. We could build more than 4,000, and with 13,000, we could build 20,000 homes, not 4,000. The math doesn't add up. With the Liberals, it always costs more and more and more.
Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for this question.
The Conservatives are already getting the math wrong. That's right. And we need to set this straight. Build Canada Homes will have $13 billion to invest in affordable housing across the country. We have a number of projects to launch that with, 4,000 homes in 6 cities across the country, 700 homes in Nunavut, as I mentioned earlier, and $1 billion into supportive transitional housing. That'll be roughly 5,000 homes for people who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. We're going to see tens of thousands of homes across Canada built. That's right. We look for your support on the budget. Thank you.
The honourable member for Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, this weekend, thousands of people across Canada joined Draw the Line protests to send the Prime Minister a very clear message. Enough is enough. Why? Because the Prime Minister and Cabinet are pushing through legislation and measures violating the rights of workers, violating the rights of Indigenous peoples, violating the rights of migrants, while undermining gender equality, civil liberties, disability justice, and environmental protection. So my question through you, Mr. Speaker, is why is the Liberal government bulldozing over our Constitution to fast-track their corporate agenda?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure what the question is in all of that, but what I can say is this government was elected, Mr. Speaker, to focus on Canadians, to be pragmatic, to stand up for Canada, to make sure people had great jobs, to make sure that Canadians can count on their government when things are tough. And that's exactly what we're doing day in and day out, Mr. Speaker. We're focused on what Canadians need, what they're telling us they want to invest in. We've got an ambitious plan, Mr. Speaker, and we're acting on it.
That is all the time we have for question period today.
Oui, c'est ça, c'est vrai. Comme il est.
It being 3:07, the House will now proceed.